to do that. And then I'm going to bring up our slides as well once that is set. Zoom to Facebook Live has had some changes happen. So we're hoping that it will go smoothly. All right, I think we should be fine. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our webinar series tonight. You are, as you will see, we are together with Dr. Asif Ilyas, the board chair of Emgage, Pennsylvania, and Mohammed Zubeiru, the president of the executive committee of CAIR-Philadelphia. And my name is Ahmed Tekelioğlu, and I am the education outreach director at CAIR-Philadelphia. We're very happy to be doing this program together. Thank you for joining us here on Zoom. We'll hope that you will be engaging with us, as well as joining us on Facebook Live. On the CAIR-Philadelphia page, we'll be fielding questions from both spaces. So if you do have a question, please be sure to send them here on Zoom and also on the Facebook Live page. So with that said, I'm going to invite both Dr. Asif and Brother Mohammed to say a few words of welcome for our audience, given that this is a collaborative program between the two organizations that are doing civic engagement work in our state. As our flyer has put down, we will talk about different aspects of the primaries. So yeah, welcome. Let me send this over to Dr. Asif first. Dr. Asif, please.
Thank you, Ahmed. Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum to Brother Zubeiru and all of our friends, and Ramadan Mubarak to everyone as well. I know we're approaching iftar time, so it's always a tough part of the day. But I hope everyone is well, inshallah. The primaries are coming up, and that's what we're going to focus on today. The odd years are often off election years, in that some of the more high profile type of elections and races, such as for president and senator and other things, are not typically held in odd years, but there's many important elections that are held in off years all the time. And oftentimes these smaller local elections have a much greater impact on our day-to-day lives. And it behooves us to be cognizant and engaged with these elections as well. And that's what we're going to talk about today, inshallah.
Thank you, Dr. Asif. Give us also maybe like a quick note about Emgage, Pennsylvania.
Yes, I was just about to say. So I should comment, and I assumed I should have mentioned this first. So I'm speaking to you today as chairperson of Emgage, Pennsylvania. Emgage is a 501c3 and 501c4 organization centered around engaging the Muslim American community in the American political process. So be it voter education, voter registration, voter mobilization, that's our 501c3 activity. Then there's also 501c4, which is policy driven, where we look at different issues affecting us as Americans and Muslim Americans, and we do what we can to push for more tolerant and just policies with our legislators, and then obviously PAC work. Today, though, we're going to be doing really just 501c3 work in this webinar in terms of voter engagement, voter mobilization. But I want to thank Ahmed and Mohammed for having me. This is a joint effort between CAIR Pennsylvania and Emgage Pennsylvania, and it's always great whenever we can collaborate in this way.
Thank you very much, Dr. Asif. Always a pleasure to be with you. My name is Mohammed Zubeiru. I'm the president of CAIR-Philadelphia. As a matter of fact, just a quick plug, Dr. Asif and I have a podcast that we're doing together called Caring and Engaging. Episodes to follow shortly. So, it's always a pleasure to kind of get to see Dr. Asif. Ramadan Mubarak to everyone. CAIR-Philadelphia is part of the largest civil rights organization in the country, and we obviously work around social justice issues. a lot of education, get out the vote and voter registration, which is what we're here for today. But just primarily protecting the civil rights of Muslims and making sure that, you know, a lot of the negative narratives that are out there around Muslims are corrected and set right. But as Dr. Asif said earlier on, you know, the off-year elections are probably not the most talked about, but they are the ones that touch our lives on a daily basis, and perhaps maybe even more important to daily life than are the ones that we tend to get very hyped about. So, you know, these are very, very important elections to participate in. So you should really try to vote every year that you're opportune to vote. So stay tuned for what we expect to be an informative show.
Wonderful. Thank you, Brother Mohammed and Dr. Asif, and welcome Commissioner Amar Sabir to the panel. If you're able to turn on your video, yeah, wonderful to see you as always. Thank you for joining. As we had said, that, you know, Commissioner Sabir will be with us today. You know, as the Philadelphia City, one of the Philadelphia City Commissioners and one of the members of the Muslim community, which we are always, you know, happy to see him drive this work in and around, you know, our communities and beyond. Commissioner Sabir, we were just making some quick introductions and kind of laying the groundwork on why we are doing this work. Both Dr. Asif introduced Emgage, Pennsylvania, Brother Mohammed introduced CAIR-Philadelphia. And we'll sort of, you know, have, you know, some questions for you. I know that your time with us will be a bit limited, so we want to make the most of your time. But yeah, so as you know, as Dr. Asif emphasized, this session is a C3 session, so meaning that we are not going to be endorsing any party or candidates. We cannot do that in this session. But our goals are to empower and serve our communities, education on issues, give information on critical races in this year's primary elections, close the knowledge gaps, and be as practical as we can be about, you know, how best to register to vote, how best to apply for mail-in ballots and send them back. And we will definitely reach out, you know, bring in Commissioner Sabir's information, especially pertinent to Philadelphia on that. And of course, you know, our goals are to make sure that underrepresented communities to become more active in the civic space, and that, you know, we can also assist new voters to navigate the system, which can sometimes be a bit tricky and difficult to navigate, given that there are both local races and statewide, you know, races, ballot questions. So we'll walk through those. But Commissioner Sabir, welcome. Please, you know, take a few minutes to introduce yourself, your work to our audience. We are live both on Zoom and on Facebook. And then, yeah, so tell us a little bit about how this season is going for you all. I know last year was quite the whirlwind, and it was maybe a lot of sleepless nights. Maybe it's an easier cycle, but still there's a lot to navigate. So we would love to hear from you as well, as we will then delve into our slides. And I just want to give a quick sort of, you know, rundown. We have like the election calendar, vote by mail application, register to vote information, and a bit on, you know, the offices that are being voted in. Dr. Asif, Brother Mohammed, myself will walk you all through these. But right now we'll go to Commissioner Amar Sabir for his remarks.
Yes, well, thank you for the kind words. And I also would like to thank, you know, you for doing this. This election cycle is going to be tougher than last election cycle in farms. I mean, in far as turnout, because that the age group from 18 to 35, okay, about maybe 50 to 60% of them believe that there's an election once every 4 years. All right, so we kind of found this out from doing some data. They think it's just an election once every 4 years. So a lot of people don't think it's time to vote again until 2024. So we can all be ambassadors, but we can change that narrative. And in elections like this, it's going to take you to reach out to your family and your friends to kind of convince them to participate in this election. With the erosion of local news, elections like this are not going to get the coverage. There's not the funding that's spent on TV ads, billboards. You know, we saw constant organizations that was calling and texting us, right? I got asked to vote maybe about 15, 20 times, and I'm a commissioner last cycle. I'm getting texts, I'm getting emails, you know, did you vote? So it's very important that we use at the grassroots. We call our family and friends, we send out text messages, and then we can do follow-up phone calls. So we actually still have time to get this done. As of right now, I'm not sure about other counties. Well, I know Philadelphia County already started mailing out. We mailed out about 60,000 or so ballots earlier on this week. So people actually have their ballots right now. So I think the message should be not that the primary is on May the 18th, right? We want to tell people to vote on or before May the 18th. So this time right now, we could use this time to tell and encourage people to get out and vote. Philadelphia County, I'm pretty sure in all other 67 counties, you can go to your county board election office and you can request your ballot. You can get registered to vote, and you can also request a replacement ballot, and it can be done right on the spot. And I'm pretty sure different counties may vary as to you know, where you may need an appointment, but you know, I'm pretty sure it's pretty flexible in every county across the state now. With due to Act 77, you actually can walk in, you can request a ballot, and you can get it right on the spot. And so that's a feature that we can take advantage of, especially with this newer generation, right? 1835 to younger people. You know, they want instant gratification, right? They think things should happen right away. That's a good incentive. You know, we can offer them rides down there. We can, you know, even now we might even send Ubers for certain people. You know, we can stay on top of people to get that confirmation to get them to participate in this next election. So I'm gonna go over a few dates for you real quick. That's very important. In May, May the 3rd is the deadline for you to get registered for this upcoming election. And I know some people might say, "Hey, you know, I'm already registered. You know, I'm fine." Yes, but if you're registered as an independent, you know, you're not going to be able to vote for a candidate. And so, as you see, you know, you're going to have to get re-registered to change your party affiliation, whether you want to be a Republican or a Democrat, or you know, you have to do that over again because Pennsylvania has a closed primary state. And so that means that you can only vote for whatever party that you're registered to in the primary. So if you're independent, you're going to walk into the voting booth and you're only going to see ballot questions, and at least get about 50 to 100 calls every election day. They think it's a conspiracy, but you know you got to you have to be registered to that party in order to participate in that primary. So the deadline for that is May the 3rd, and you have up into 11:59. And so you can go to votespa.com. It's real simple. It's a link. You know, you can get people engaged to do that. You know, that's a technical deadline, but the intelligent deadline is do everything right now. So right now we should be texting, calling our friends, telling them, hey, you got up to May 3rd, 11:59 p.m. In order for you to get registered. Votespa.com, you can do it online, or if you want to fill out a paper application, bring it into your local county board of elections, and I'm pretty sure that they'll accept it. But I say do it right now in case you make a mistake. And we have to recontact you again and try to, figure everything out. May 11th. Now that's the deadline for you to apply for your vote by mail ballot. May the 11th, and this time deadline is a little bit different than voter registration. You have to have it in by 5 p.m. Sharp, not 5:01. By law, no county board elections from across the state can accept a vote by mail ballot application after 5 p.m. on May the 11th. That's across the state. That's for every county. And again, that's the technical deadline. But the intelligent deadline is to do it right now. If you wait until May the 11th or May the 10th to apply for your vote by mail ballot, chances are, it's a significant chance that by the time you receive that ballot, because it's only 7 days until election day, you're not going to be able to mail it back. So if you apply for that ballot at that time, you're going to receive it, 2-3 days. But as soon as you get it, you complete it, bring it back to your local county board of elections. Do not put that ballot in the mail because it's not going to, we're not going to receive it. And why is that so important? Because by May the 18th, which is only 1 week later after you apply, at 8 p.m., I have to have those ballots. And that's very important because some people, they might put their ballot in the mail on May the 17th, May the 16th, and the way how the post office has been operating, they're still moving slow. I just received some mail. I looked at the postmark date. It was like a long time. So again, feel free to bring your completed ballot to your local county board of elections. I'm pretty sure those offices vary. If you live in Philadelphia County, it's philadelphiavotes.com. And, we also have Dropbox locations too that are secure 24/7. We have 14 locations. And we're also coordinating some mobile drop-off sites as well. So we'll have different various weekend spots where people can actually come in and drop off their ballot as well. Also critical. But, again, let's not wait till the last minute. And last but not least, May the 18th. If you missed the, vote by mail ballot deadline for you to try to apply, listen, May the 18th, you can vote. And it's going to more likely be in walking distance or, a short drive, but May the 18th, that's election day. You can walk in to your polling location. You can vote right in person. And this is an option that's there for us. People has died for us, sacrificed for the right to vote. And right now you can vote in the comfort of your own home, or you can vote in person. It's literally so easy for you to vote. Pennsylvania is one of those states where it's very easy to vote, right? And so let's not be confused with misinformation, because people will put out misinformation. For example, they may say something like, if you have a criminal record that you can't vote, or that you need ID to vote. These are all tricks that people like to do to suppress the vote. In Pennsylvania, if you're a felon and you have left your confinement, then you are eligible to vote and participate in the process. Even if you are confined and you're arrested and you're in jail and you have not been convicted of a felony, you can still vote by mail. So even if you have loved ones that are incarcerated right now, as long as they're not arrested or convicted of a felony, then they can actually participate in the election process. So, we talk about the judges, we talk about, some counties are doing district attorneys, some counties are doing mayors, but it's basically, I call this election a criminal justice election. And it's very important, that we let people participate and let people know they can participate in the process. Because there are a lot of people that live in Pennsylvania that don't even believe that they have the right to vote. And misinformation is a key way how you can get people not to participate in the process. But it all starts at home. Okay, it's family and friends, it's texts, it's phone calls. So we can connect with our constituency at least between 5 to 7 times for this upcoming election, then guess what? More than likely they're going to participate. Because number one reason why someone votes is if you ask them. And if it's from a family or a friend or somebody that they trust and it's a trusted messengers, more than likely they're going to vote. Now, one of the barriers that may stop them is they may not know who they want to vote for. And I'll let y'all tell them who to vote for. I can't tell you that. But if you tell them, hey, you vote for this person.
We can't do that either.
Yeah, we can't do that either, but we'll provide information on how to locate who is running. Which offices are.
Right, but as we did our research, that was one of the barriers that people said, and one of the reasons why they didn't vote. One of the things we did a lot of research, and because first, if somebody would say they wouldn't vote, I would just be like, come on, man, you're being lazy. You didn't. But I actually had to listen to reasons why people didn't vote, and number one reason was just like logistical challenges. They didn't know, okay, whether or not they was registered, where to get information from. So if you can answer all those questions, then they probably want to ask you, you know, who to vote for. There's a lot of people, you know, a lot of people in that age group, 18 and 35, if they don't know somebody, they're not going to vote for them. When I was growing up, it was a little different. You know, I would ask my fathers and all that kind of stuff, but we have to have a reason why. And so one of the things we did, we came up with the message that the more you vote, the more you get. And the two reasons we explained to people, expressed to people, was that, you know, you got resources and you got accountability. Those are the two reasons why you should do it, no matter what issues it is, whether it's police reform, better funding for your schools, safer streets, you know, Ubers, more access to Uber, or having restaurants open, bars open later to 4 o'clock. I mean, people had their reasons why, and it's different age groups have different reasons why. So I mean, but the main thing was easy and pretty much gone was that everybody wants more. So we said the more you go get, and whatever issues that was important to you, policymakers are going to listen to you if you vote. They don't listen to people. They look at numbers. They look at moves. They look at data.
Absolutely, Commissioner. Let me jump in. Let me jump in right quick. I'm going to ask you if you can hold on towards the end for people that are going to ask the questions, because
Sure.
Since we got you and you're the pro, we're going to try to run through our piece of it right quick. But there's something else also that I wanted to add to what you said. You know, we actually, you mentioned that Pennsylvania is a closed primary state. However, it really is important if you are registered as an independent, you know, like you said, there are ballot questions. So, you know, go anyway. You know, if you're registered to vote, go out to the polls and cast your vote, whether you're a registered Democrat or Republican or independent. So, hope you'll hang on for us. Let's run right through this real quick, and then you can take questions on the back end.
Sure.
Sounds great. Thank you, Commissioner Sabir, for that. So just very quickly, some of this will be repeats. Just wanted to note for everyone that we are actually in our calls, in our text so far, we have given the the guidance that, you know, the requests should be made by the 24th, and if you are going to mail it, that it should be no later than May 12th. Otherwise, consider in-person voting, as you have highlighted. So that's important. And of course, you know, the deadline to register is the May 3rd. And, you know, being, you know, a citizen for at least 30 days, 18 years old on or before May 18th, to be able to vote in this cycle, and a resident of PA is important. The link that I put here is connected to the state website. So also pa.cair.com/vote. So if anyone can come in there, we would be able to register on our side, and then we will be able to reach back out to those individuals on text and on calls. As you've said, you know, if you are in prison because of a conviction, then you are ineligible, and if you have violated things. Right, so who is running, and, you know, can we advise folks on who to support? Not at this webinar, we cannot, but we can definitely guide you through the Committee of 70's website. Is a good website that allows folks to input their address and just see who are the candidates running in their area. You know, I'm not going to do that right now, but ballot.70.org, just go in there, input your address, and then the system will automatically populate for you. That system currently, I think, doesn't populate the school board candidates in your area, which is a shortcoming of the tool that they are using that is otherwise very helpful. So be, however, you know, mindful that, as we will cover soon, I think Dr. Asif will touch on that, school board members are going to be in a lot of the areas, and that's very consequential, especially for our communities. That's something that we wanted to highlight. I'll pass over to Dr. Asif to walk us through some of the other offices that are going to be on the ballot in this cycle.
Sure. You know, the judge's election is an extremely important election. It's, again, as mentioned by everyone, it's typically not a high profile type of election, but extremely consequential, because these judges are the ones that are trying these cases and setting the precedents that we have to live by. And this is a great graphic up on your screen right now, kind of showing how the court system and the judicial system is set up. And frankly, as a non-legal person, it's actually very confusing. My sister's an attorney and a judge in Maryland. I've had her explain this to me, and it's still very confusing to me. But what I tell everyone is, when you look at this triangular format, it's the bottom two that we're voting judges into. And the upper part is their appointees. And Commissioner Sabir, if I'm wrong, you let me know. But generally, the bottom ones that the public votes in, so we get to vote on those. And the top two, the Supreme and the Supreme Court, Commonwealth, and Superior Courts, are appointees. And there may be some slight variation, but the important thing.
No, you could vote for them. So everybody's on the ballot.
Everyone's on the ballot. Okay. And but these are important. So when you go to the website to look at their positions on things, again, in this setting, we can share our thoughts on the different candidates. It's very telling to see kind of where they stand on different issues. And it's not something to be taken lightly. So how we vote for these, which judges we help to elect makes a significant, important impact in the way we live our lives. Commissioner Sabir, do you want to add anything to that in terms of judges specifically?
Well, just that judges come in every odd year, you're going to vote for judges. And then in November, you're going to get some retention judges, in the municipal court, CP. So it's going to change a little bit different. So just let you know, you're going to see the retention judges when you're going to have to say yes or no. And these are judges that either served a 10-year term or even served a 6-year term. And they have to run for retention as yes or no vote. But they'll be on the ballot for November, in addition to the ones that you elected in the primary.
Got it. Okay. Emma, can I get next slide, please? The school board members, well, the local races, and again, we talked about some of the dates in terms of Philadelphia local races. I think just to reiterate those dates, the actual election for the primary is the 18th. The general is going to be in November, so we'll leave that be. So right now the primary is what we're focusing on. If you plan to vote, inshallah, you need to register by May 3rd, which is only a few days. And you need to request, if you're going to vote by mail, request your ballot by May 11th. That's very important to know those dates. And that's, if you're going to take anything away from today, it's really knowing those dates so we don't miss those deadlines for voting. And then, as mentioned previously, Pennsylvania is a closed state. So if you need to select a party that you're going to be voting for. You don't vote in both the Democratic and the Republican races, just one or the other, unless it's a ballot election on open ballot items, which we'll talk about in just a moment. But otherwise, if you're registered as an independent, you will not be able to vote. Next, let's talk about the school board. School board is extremely important in terms of who we're voting in. These individuals are important in defining and establishing the level of inclusivity and equity within the school systems. Funding for programming. The funding is always a hot button issue within the schools. The budgets are tight. And these school board members are making the decisions about which programs stay and or are cut, which are prioritized, which are not prioritized. They're central to training our teachers, and both in not only from their professional training, but also their social training in terms of all their different types of diversity training as well. And again, obviously curriculum material goes without saying. The quality and the priorities and the curriculum is driven by the school board. So all of the school boards are up, be it if you're Philadelphia County or in the surrounding counties or what have you, or all the counties across Pennsylvania, the school boards are up. Commissioner Sabir, do you want to add anything on the school boards?
Yes, just in some counties, school boards actually have the authority to raise taxes in some counties too. And so in those smaller counties, they're very important because, somebody living in a big city, a lot of times people may leave to go to those smaller counties because they got better educational systems. And in those systems, they can actually do a vote and actually can raise your taxes in certain counties. So the school board is very important. It's a big deal, very big deal.
And I can just attest to that by having worked with different school boards and on different projects, definitely matters how much appreciation there is in the school board for the needs of minority communities, whether that's a religious minority, a racial minority, for everyone. I think that's really consequential for our communities. Thank you to both of you. I think we have questions.
And there's, I think just a few ballot questions. And my understanding, again, we're lucky to have an expert with us with the elections when it comes to having Commissioner Sabir with us. But the ballot questions are open to all voters, irrespective of their party affiliation. So even if you're independent, you can vote for the ballot questions that are there. And these are, I believe, there's 4 ballot questions this year. One is on going backwards, making municipal fire and emergency medical services companies eligible for government loans, equal rights regardless of race or ethnicity amendment. And there's 2 more, I believe. Emergency declaration amendment, the time period for declaring or the duration of an emergency as declared by the state government, and the legislative resolution to extend or terminate emergency declaration amendments. So these are issues that are open to all voters. Commissioner Sabir, anything you want to add about the open ballot questions this year?
No. I mean, actually, I can't. I got to read them as they are. I can't really give commentary about the questions. I don't want to.
No, indeed, not in terms of the commentary, but in terms of the process. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, that anyone can vote irrespective of their party affiliation, and independents can vote.
Yes, and also, when we was talking to a lot of younger voters, even in the last election, they said, I don't trust none of the candidates. I don't like Biden. I don't like Trump. And I said, well, what about the ballot questions? And they said, ballot questions, what's that? And then I explained to them about, taxation, law changes, things like that. And I actually turned that no from not participating in the process to them actually participating in the process to just vote on the ballot questions, even if they don't like, the top of the ticket or don't like any of the candidates. And they said, I'm not voting no more the lesser of 2 evils. Got to be somebody I believe in. I said, what about the ballot questions? And they turned that hard no into a yes.
And is it true that in this cycle, whatever is going to be the vote on these will pass or fail, right? So they're not going to.
So it's certain certain amendments and the different rules, like with the state, it has to go through consecutive elections for it to pass. So it all depends on which one is which. Because the rules a little bit different.
Wonderful. Thank you so much to both of you. Brother Mohammed, over to you. I think we wanted to cover why vote by mail or voting from home or absentee voting matters in this cycle.
Well, thank you, gentlemen, for your previous comments. But voting period is important. That's basically why we're here. But voting by mail, like the commissioner said earlier on, is another option that's available for people to be able to exercise to cast your vote. Your vote is your voice. Your vote is the way that you get to choose the people who make the decisions on your behalf. So actually, whether you show up or you don't, you're actually making a decision. And so you're either deciding to leave your future to somebody else, or you're deciding to pick the person who's going to make that decision on your behalf. The decision is going to get made. Question is, do you want to be a party to it? And voting by mail is just another option that you have to be able to exercise that. And it's basically like the commissioner said, you request a ballot and then you submit it by mail, and he outlined how you should the number of ways to do that. And there's also a link where you can do that. It's a very secure way to cast your ballot. There are verification standards in place. And it's good for people who may be sick, who are in the military. If you plan to be away at the time of the election, you can request a ballot and you can cast it in place. So any qualified voter is eligible to request a ballot. And you can do that online, you can do it in person, you can do it by mail. And like the commissioner said, there are steps in place to make sure that it is a secure way to cast your ballot. So again, there are, if you're going to do it by mail, you may need to send certain types of verification, and these are the valid types of ID that you would need to do that. But it's very simple to do it by if you're watching us today on Facebook or on Zoom, then doing it by computer is probably going to be the easiest and the quickest way for you to do that. So obviously your name, your birth date. Let's see. Let's see.
Bring that up. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I have it here, but that's fine. So these are the things that you'll need to for the application: your name, information about yourself, your address, where to mail the ballot, obviously, identification, your signature. Your signature is really important. Commissioner, if you want to speak to that, because that's probably the primary verification method that they use in terms of being able to make sure that it's you who's requesting and submitting the ballot when they actually receive it back, correct?
Right, that's correct, right. So when you're doing it online, if you don't have a driver's license number or a PIN number like an ID, because what they do is that's like your electronic signature. So if you send it in with the with Social Security, that's the last four of your Social Security number, it's definitely going to be more verification from the county boards of elections to to complete your application. So that's why I was saying, May the 11th is that's the technical deadline, but the intelligent deadline is to do it right now. If there's questions and things like that we have to, figure it out. So I say just do it as soon as possible. Don't wait till the deadline to do it.
And the last point on there was that you can actually request that it be sent to you on a regular basis as well. So that's sort of like a set it and forget it type scenario where whether you request it or not, it'll keep getting sent out to you. And correct me if I'm wrong, Commissioner, whether you request a ballot by mail, if you decide that you can still walk in if you wanted to, but it's easier to request the ballot and cast it that way.
Well, yes, but what you have to realize about that, when you go on that annual list, right? You have to. It's only good for two elections.
Uh-huh.
You have to apply again. So even if you want to get on that permanent list, for some reason, with the legislation, permanent only means two consecutive elections. So after two elections, the county board of elections is going to mail you out an application and ask you, do you want to stay on the list? And then you got to fill out another application again to continue receiving vote by mail ballots.
Yeah, in this year's outreach, that's one of the issues that we are running into. Although folks say that in November they received a mail-in ballot, but not realizing that they need to repeat that process for this year's election cycle, which has been one of the education points in our outreach.
Legislators, Act 77, that's one of the issues with Act 77, and we're definitely going to need some more reform, because if somebody wants to be on a permanent ballot, permanent to me means you always want to vote by mail, but unfortunately that means just two election cycles.
Yeah, and I think to clarify on Brother Muhammad's point of view, that definitely you can you can go in person even after having applied, but you need to have your ballot that was mailed to you in your hands, showing that it's not being voted, so that you can vote sort of like in that process. I think it's still provisional because it needs to be also confirmed. We try to ensure
the actual process. The actual process is, so you'll bring, whatever we mail to you, you want to bring that with you. Your local judge of elections, that the people that sit at the election table, the election board, they'll spoil that ballot, and then you can vote on the machine. Now, it does take some time to do it, so it might cause a little bottleneck inside the line, but you can. I mean, once you receive that ballot, you bring it with you. They can spoil it. Now, if you still want to vote in person, you don't have that ballot, that physical, ballot with you, then yeah, you have to vote provisionally.
Again, it's actually interesting that one of you mentioned one of those acts, and that would be that would probably be something in order to be changed that may be brought up on a as a ballot initiative. So, but interesting that you brought that up. Ahmed, off to you.
All right, no, wonderful, and I need to recognize that many of these slides that we are using are from Pennsylvania Voice, our partners. Their slides, which should be very helpful, that we've been using to educate our volunteers who are doing this outreach. Now, one of the questions that I wanted to ask Commissioner Sabir, I think we have covered quite a bit of ground here. But Commissioner Sabir, from the city of Philadelphia's point of view, at least, what is different between last cycle and this cycle? I know the city had more funding and some grants that allowed you to expand the satellite offices and as such. And I know that some of that is not here in this cycle. How do you expect that to impact the work? And then, even though we may be hopefully in a different place in terms of the pandemic, what are some of the steps that you all are taking as commissioners to ensure that the voting process is still safe, both for the poll workers and others? And then, are there still needs for poll workers in this cycle? Anyone who's looking to do that kind of work, if you can give us some information about those points.
Sure. Yes, we always need poll workers. And this is on behalf of all the election officials across the country. We always need poll workers, because the average poll worker is about 60, 65 years old. So we're always looking for younger people that want to take on the mantle of being a poll worker. So you can go to PhiladelphiaVotes.com and you can express your interest. You can fill out, the form, and someone will probably contact with you. We need if there's gaps. We always want to encourage people to actually run for office as well. Even if you missed the deadline to apply for the petition period, you can always write yourself in. So if you want to, get some family and friends and you want to run for either the judge or inspector of elections for your local election board, you always can do that as well. There's 1,703 divisions, and we're always looking for people to do it. It's a long day. And quite frankly, I mean, you will be underpaid. I mean, unfortunately, the stipend that we get, I mean, it's not desirable, right? But it's still meaningful work. It's very meaningful work. I mean, you're going to get there at about 6 o'clock, and to set everything up, you want to be there on time. It's a possibility you might not leave out till about 9 o'clock. So, I mean, that's a long 13-hour day, for democracy, but that's what makes democracy great. And that's what keeps the integrity of our elections, are the election boards. We have trainings, in-person trainings. They're working on online training. And, you do the training and, so basically we need you. Now, we're not going to have the satellite locations. We have 17 satellite locations open. We're not going to have those satellite locations. The only place where you can request a ballot, an instant ballot, is at City Hall. But we will have mobile locations. So we're in negotiations with different venues where we can have ballot drop-offs. And I guess one of the ideas would be at a supermarket, where, we'll be there on the weekend and you could come in and walk, and drop your ballot off like at a supermarket. So while you're shopping, you could just bring your ballot in and drop it right off. So that's one of the avenues that we're exploring, and we'll have those finalized by this week. So it should be coverage. And we got 14 of those, in the ground drop-off boxes. They're under surveillance. They're emptied out every day at 8 p.m. And you can drop your ballot off 24/7 at these 14 locations across our city. So it's still pretty easy to vote if you don't trust the mail, because, a lot of people, they got phobias about the mail, which is rightly do. But you can still drop your ballot off and bring it in. And then, if you have applied for your ballot, one of the features I like about what Act 77 did was if you apply for your ballot, you didn't receive it yet in the mail, you're getting a little bit anxious. And let's just say you're downtown and you're shopping, or you might be down in Center City and you might be, at Starbucks, and your mind is clicking. You say, Dad, I apply for a ballot and get it. You can walk right over to City Hall and you can request a replacement ballot. They'll print it out right there and you can sign it, do all your paperwork right there, and then they'll print it out to you, even if you're not registered. You actually can get registered right there on the spot, get registered. They print the ballot out so you can fill out your ballot right there. You get a voted sticker, and and it's actually done. And what some groups have done, they have had DJs, they have food, they actually have parties outside, certain areas, too. So I mean, if you want to be creative, let me know if y'all want to get like a DJ or something like that. As it closer to election, maybe you have pass out water ice and pretzels, something like that, as an incentive, to get, people to want to come out. We can do that. We have space like outside, like, where we can do something like that.
And at least we know that in our community, several masajid serve as the ballot locations in
Yes,
Philadelphia and outside of Philadelphia. So for our
Mhm.
communities, that's visiting home on election day as well. Thank you, Commissioner Sabir. Again, I'll encourage our audience to send their questions. I want to send a question to Dr. Asif. As Emgage, you all are in touch with, even though we can't endorse or maybe even mention candidates in this call, with Muslim candidates running, from across the area. Do you see more traction in this cycle, Dr. Asif, on that level? Do you see increased Muslim attention to running in these local elections? I know of some candidates, but I know that you may have further insights into this.
No, indeed. Alhamdulillah, I would say that every cycle we're seeing more and more Muslim Americans running for office at all levels, both in Pennsylvania and across the country, and that's really great. This is our country. We have to be a part of that process, and we have to not be shy about our faith and let our faith inform our values, but does not mean that in any ways it would deter us for serving our communities and serving in the offices that we seek to pursue. And I think it's heartening for me to see that every cycle more and more. And again, the highest profile person this cycle is our old friend Senator Sharif Street, which he's not in this election or primary cycle. This is a different election for him, but we know him well as one of our state senators, and he has officially said that he's filed for running for the U.S. Senate to represent the state of Pennsylvania. So that's not a minor thing for him to do that, and his success is all of our success. And he's been a great model for how to serve as a loyal and committed servant to his community while being informed by his faith, and not being shy about either. And that's great for the young rising leaders to see. A lot of us here are getting older. We're not as young and as charismatic as Commissioner Sabir is. So it's good to have role models like Commissioner Sabir and Senator Street running. But at all levels, we're seeing it, and we need to encourage our young folks to be a part of that process and have their voices heard. And the other thing I would just make a comment is that if you look at a Muslim American turnout in elections, and we know off-cycle and primary elections tend to be lower, but Muslim Americans are still lagging behind the general public by a significant margin. And it's a shame, because if we really get together and leverage our numbers, we can continue to have growing impact. And that's what politicians and our leaders, they see that. They say, who are speaking to us? And you speak through the ballot box, not through social media. You speak through the ballot box. And when they see that this community is committed, they care about justice, they care about tolerance, they care about policies that help the poor and the rich and everyone in between, and both here and overseas, they'll respect our views. So we have to continue to encourage our community members to vote.
And if I could add to that, back in 2013, when I first got elected for traffic court judge, I probably was maybe the first, or if not the first, maybe of a few that was an elected judge in Pennsylvania. And especially, with a Muslim name. My name is Omar Kareem Sabir. And I can say that, the climate is actually different than what it is now. When I first started, people like, I don't know if certain areas they won't vote for you because you're Muslim. You got to send me literature without your picture on it. It was all those different things that I was, receiving information in regards to running. So it has actually been more open now, I could say. And within the masajid, it was always challenging, because a lot of the imams, they even started embracing being involved in politics more, right? So that's more important, that we actually was doing research now to even draw parallels about the Prophet Prophet's life. Because if you look at the way how a lot of the teaching has been, it doesn't really get into the Prophet's tax collection, the social service programs that he made, the decisions that he made, for the community. It's not that much research on that's readily available for people. So one of the things I was working with the imam was going through all those different, if we can get that sort of information to look at some of the policies that the Prophet did. He made treaties. I mean, he did all these different things that elected officials do today, and those things would possibly, I think would probably get more people to want to engage more in it. Because when I first started, really in 2011, that was the first time I ran. I was like, voting is haram. It's like, it was so much, that I just kind of like backed away from all of that. But I think we can revisit it, hopefully, like I said, we can have more information and create, better messaging. I think that could actually sit inside of the masajid. Because if the Muslim population, in an election like this, everybody else want to take off on an off election, if we increased our voter turnout, you can control the courts, you can control the mayors, the county treasurers, all those elections. I mean, you can dominate. I mean, just an example, in Philadelphia, we have over 300,000 Muslims. I mean, if you had about 30 or 40,000 Muslims, that's only 10% that will come out, be consistent, that can change a mayor's race. Like, you can actually pick a mayor if you have 30,000 votes going one way in a Democratic primary. And Democratic primary is basically is going to win the election in general. I mean, you actually can have an actual mayor. I mean, it would be simple. I mean, but theory is always good. But I mean, the actual practicality of it is definitely going to take, more informational standpoint about voting and comparing it to the Prophet's life and a lot of decisions that he made in his life. I think that would definitely go a long way. And I'm currently possibly working on that as well. And it's been like a project I've been working on, a pet project I've been working on, is to get a lot of those different parallels going.
I mean, at the end of the day, if you're Muslim, if you're Muslim, you pay your taxes, right? So you should choose your leaders, and so, like you said, whether it's voting or whether it's running for office, it is important to get involved. We're part of the society. We're not going anywhere, and so we got to have a say in who our leaders are. So.
Indeed. And I know that we are coming to the end of our time in tonight's webinar. We want to keep it short, as Dr. Asif mentioned, it's iftar time and it's Ramadan for our community. Commissioner Sabir, thank you so much for joining us tonight. We are thankful for what you're doing and for joining us on this program. Dr. Asif, thank you so much, as always, what you are doing together with your team here. Brother Mohammed, thank you. Our volunteers have been making calls and texts in this cycle. We sent some 20,000 texts and some almost 40,000 calls. And it's definitely an uphill battle for everyone, right? It's difficult to bring attention to this. Some issues are politicized. People think of voting by mail as a political issue, unfortunately, rather than a facility or an ease. But we'll accept anyone and everyone, and we'll just be happy if anyone can vote. Whatever conviction that they want to. That's a process for us. And as you all have mentioned, from our faith perspective, we're trying to make sure that that good is facilitated and harm is reduced through our work. So as long as we can manage that, hopefully we have done some good, and all the organizations and individuals here are trying to do that. And we want to thank everyone who were able to join us today. The video recording, this will be available on the Facebook page, so as a continuous resource, and we'll be sure to continue to amplify it. And as always, I think everyone hopefully can reach out to their friends and us all with any questions. Again, like we have a page, pa.cair.com/vote. Emgage has wonderful resources on their website. The Philadelphia Vote's website has resources, and of course the state website, votespa.com, has resources. So hopefully we'll continue to do that outreach, and this program helped a little bit.
Like that, plus if I could just add too, I'm looking for interns. If people want to be involved in government, please let me know. Mentorship as well. Another reason how you can get people involved in politics is, letting the younger people come to work, see exactly what you do. A lot of people have this negative connotation of what politics is, but once people see the work that we do, word of mouth organically, it will spread and then people will be more involved in it. So again, my personal number is 215-686-3462, 215-686-3462. And my email address is Omar, OMAR, .sabir@phila.gov, Omar, OMAR.sabir@phila.gov. And please let me know if there's anything that I can do for you from my capacity as far as an elected official. I'm more than eager and willing to help.
Brother Omar, we're proud of you. Thank you for the work that you do every day. Dr. Asif, thank you for your partnership.
Thank you, guys.
And Ahmed, the hardest working man at CAIR-Philadelphia and maybe in Philadelphia. Thank you for all that you do. So.
Thank you to all of you, and have a good evening. Thank you so much.
Assalamu alaikum.